So,
Oh yeah, no, I get you.
um,
Well, cool, man. Thanks again for being here. I'm really glad. I've been doing these blogs through the Memphis Songwriters Association, and I think you're my first local artist to be featured on there, which is kind of a travesty, but I'm really happy that we were able to, sit down and that, it's not just me talking like it normally is. I can actually hear it straight from the source. Um,
cool.
so
Glad to be
so
here.
I'm gonna give my take on your song New Year's Day, and then if you want to add in anything, and I'm assuming that you will. Actually, we'll do that in reverse order. I'll have you give your take, and then I'll kind of talk about some of the stuff that I noticed too. But really, we're focused on what makes the song work. And I know that might be a little bit weird for you as an artist to be like, yeah, this is why this song is so good. But I definitely want you to brag on yourself a little bit as we move forward. So New Year's Day, the big focus of this blog is talking about object writing and specifically nostalgia through object writing. And this is one of the songs that I came up with that kind of fit that category. So we typically break down the songs lyrically, melodically, and structurally. So let's start with those lyrics. How did this song come about when it comes to object writing?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of object writing, and I'm also a very nostalgic person. So, like, if you ever listen to any of my original songs, you'll hear a lot of nostalgia and and memories about the past in there, and it's just how I am, and there's no escaping it. So it comes out in all of my songs, nearly all of them. But I look to people like Guy Clark. He writes, he's a great object writer. He's got a song like I pick, any number of songs, but like he's got a song called "The Randall Knife," which is about a knife that his dad had in World War II that he inherited, and it's a kind of a haunting song. And he's got a song, um, Black Diamond Strings, which are about guitar strings, but it's also kind of a little mini novella about Rodney Crowell's father. And it's songs like that. He's got another one, which is one of my favorite ones to play, called "The Cape," which is about this flour sack cape that a small boy um, puts around his neck and learns how to fly,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
metaphorically.
Yeah.
And and so I like those kind of songs like that. Speaking of those Guy Clark songs, but there are also a number of other artists that do it very well. Um, you know, in my genre, which is pretty much folk, an Americana style, but
Yeah,
more on the folk. Um, People like John Prine do that very well.
absolutely.
Um, just taking these objects and then putting a whole spin and a song around it. And
Yeah.
so with my song in New Year's Day, I had a friend that I brought the cup, or I
Oh,
brought the
excellent.
mug.
There you go.
Um, so the song said, I got this old mug on my shelf, and she sent me this mug. It was a friend of mine, and it was her mug, and her husband's mug, and um, and it was her birthday, and I sent her a picture of like me, and the mug itself is it's got Mark Twain on it, and it's got a bunch of Mark Twain quotes like um, etiquette requires us to admire the human race. Um, let's see, you can't pray a lie, things like that. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. All these good Mark Twain quotes.
I think
And
I have a magnet from when we went to Hannibal, the first
yeah,
time
yeah,
I was ever in the Memphis area,
right.
and it says it's better to remain quiet and appear ignorant than to open up your mouth and remove all doubt or something
Yeah,
along those lines.
exactly.
And my grandpa just thought that was the best quote ever, and so
Yeah,
so yeah, I love those Mark
yeah.
Twain quotes.
So so she sent me this in the mail, and it was a used mug, and I sent her a picture of it. One morning I was drinking coffee, and and it was her birthday, and I sent a picture. And I said, "Hey, happy birthday! I'm drinking coffee out of one of my favorite mugs." And she said, you know, like a lot of people, and she's a wonderful songwriter herself. She's like, "Well, you should write a song about that secondhand mug or something like that."
Yeah,
And so I did, and I don't have the lyrics near me. I wish I had thought about that, but I started writing the song, and I was like, I usually don't pay much attention to that. You know, everybody's like, "Oh, you should write a song about it," which is kind of a, you know, if you're a songwriter, everybody says you should write a song about everything, you
right,
know,
exactly.
and which which some things are song worthy and other things are just things.
Hmm.
And so I was like, well, I'll give that a stab. And I usually don't, I'm not very good at song prompts either. I'm very much just write inspirationally, um, with reckless abandon once the inspiration hits.
Yeah.
And so I started writing the songs, this song, and it started out with Mark Twain is sitting on my shelf, and it was going to be this kind of happy song and incorporate some of the quotes on the mug, and then I was like, I don't want to write a happy song because that's not really my primary wheelhouse,
Yeah.
if you will, and then I was just like, you know, if I keep going with Mark Twain is on my shelf, then I've got to somehow figure out in the song how to explain why the hell Mark Twain is on my shelf.
Right.
You know, and the only way you could do that is if you're like watching a video of this on the shelf.
Hmm.
And so then I started thinking about, well, I've got this other mug that's very important to me right here.
Yeah.
And this one is in the music video that we did for the song, that my friends Daniel and Melanie produced for me. They did an
Nice.
incredible job.
It's a great video.
And so this mug is featured in that video, and it's a lot more special to me. I got that mug on my with my wife when we went to a small town in Indiana on our 10th anniversary, and and we just had our 20th anniversary. And so I started just using this mug more as the inspiration. And the song is just about a lost love, you know, the one that got away or whatever.
Yeah.
And and so when I'm singing about the mug in the song, you know, it's not really the Mark Twain mug. That's what started it out, but this mug is more important to me. And so then I started thinking about the mug, and um, I got this old mug on my shelf rather than Mark Twain is sitting on my shelf,
Hmm.
so, which makes no sense.
Right,
And
right, right.
um, so I get this old mug on my shelf. I take it down and pour myself a cup and think about what used to be. And those lines just really just came out of the thin
Yeah.
air. And and so then I was like, "Ooh, that's going to be a good song." And um, and a lot of my songs, like I said, are about what used to be. And
Hmm.
um, and sometimes, you know, as the theme of my first album is essentially um, all about my family and our roots in Texas, and literally about all the things that used to be.
Yeah.
And so as I keep writing, that's not going to be the predominant theme, but I do, like I said, I'm fairly nostalgic. So that's where I started in with the mug, and that's kind of where I took it from there. I was like, okay, I think about what used to be, and and I kind of just centered around, okay, this is a song going to be a song about a lost love, the one that got away, and
Yeah.
and and it does it, and the song is not so much about um it, like in my mind, about the necessarily fond memories, but it's about the character. Is he uses the mug daily,
Yeah.
um and but he's still kind of stuck in the past, uh
Hmm.
with this lost love, and has never been able to move on, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's
And
it's really interesting that you should say that because when I was listening to this song again, when you were saying, "Oh yeah, like I don't want to write a happy song." To me, this song actually struck me as being relatively happy. So I'm
yeah,
very glad that you said that. Because it is definitely about being stuck in the past, but I looked at it as, fond memories. So I'm glad
right.
I just set the record straight on that one. Uh,
Yeah, and it's not that maybe the character doesn't have fond memories of the lost love, but it's more about the way, at least the way I wrote it, um, in my head, and of course, music is just interpreted as however the listener interprets it. You know,
sure.
is just how it is, and that's
Yeah.
fine. But when I'm singing it, it comes from a more of a place um, of a lonely guy.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely. And I definitely get that as well. Yeah, I think the thing that I know I had said to you originally, and I was talking to our mutual friend Joe Matthews about that, that like the way that I put it is that, he sees this cup and, and as you said, he drinks out of it every day, but just all of a sudden this memory hits him.
Mhm.
And then the way that I put it is that it just kind of spirals out of control because then
Yeah,
he starts digging up the pictures and like,
right,
which by the way, I have to point out about the picture. You didn't actually say the word picture. You said an old black and white. And
right.
I just thought that was a really cool, like even better image than just saying like, hey, here's a photograph or whatever.
Yeah.
This old black.
Thank you. Um, yeah, that second verse took a little while to get to. And I knew I had done the first verse and the chorus. I'd completed those, and the second verse I really had to work on for a while and was just really kind of stuck. And then all of a sudden that happened, like another one of those, like, oh shoot, there it is.
Yeah.
It was a black and white of the next object that
Yeah.
reminded him of the past. But back in the first verse, um, I do kind of like hint at the gift mug, where I
Okay.
talk about, I got this old mug on my shelf. I take it down and pour myself a cup and think about what used to be. And you gave it to me secondhand because it was a used mug.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
My friend gave it to me. It was used, and you gave it to me secondhand, and you knew I was a simple man, which is a little bit of a nod to my. Um, at one point in my life, I was really, really, and I still enjoy listening to them occasionally, but I was really a huge Leonard Skinner fan
Yeah.
in my youth, and so I kind of snuck that in there. Um, and because when the song is set in the 90s, in the 1990s, and which is weird to say, like that was 30 years ago, the 90s were, but
Yeah.
and that was the time period where I was really big into Leonard Skinner. I
Sure.
just got this mug a couple of years ago from my friend, but you gave it to me secondhand, and you knew I was just a simple man, and I guess I'll always be. And so that's kind of how that all came together for,
Yeah.
for those
Well,
lines.
and I think it's interesting too that you should talk about, music nostalgia too, because there's a line in there
Well, right.
that references making love to bell bottom blues.
Yeah.
It's funny because, I don't know what's going on with Facebook, if anything, but after I contacted you for this interview, I randomly saw a post from Derek and the Dominoes Facebook page saying like, "Hey, what was your first memory of hearing Bell Bottom Blues?" And I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh
that's
man,
funny.
I
Yeah,
remember my dad playing Derek and the Dominoes in
yeah,
the car on the way to school and whatever." And so
sure.
like it's just again, it's just like it can be in the deepest recesses of your mind, but you see something and then just like boom, it triggers that and um, you know, uh,
Yeah, and that was another big soundtrack of my life during
oh
that
yeah,
time period, particularly because I was really big into um, Leonard Skinner and the Allman Brothers, and of course Dwayne was a predominant
yeah,
fixture on that Layla album,
absolutely.
and so I wore Layla out that whole album numerous times.
When did you get up to Memphis too, by the way? Because I know I'm pretty sure Derek and the Dominoes like they met through Delaney and Bonnie and Friends, if I'm not mistaken, and a lot of them like rehearsed and stuff in Memphis in the early days, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't know about their Memphis connection, but I know certainly part of their core was from Clapton's relationship with Delaney and Bonnie.
Yeah, I know. Well, and I know Bobby Whitlock is the
Yeah,
lead
yep, that's
vocalist
true.
from
Yep,
Memphis, and so
yep. A friend of mine, he was good friends with Bobby, and Bobby is still alive, but my friend
yeah,
passed away. But
okay,
they went to school together back in the day.
yeah.
Is my friend Jim, and his Martin guitar is the one that's my main guitar that you
Oh, cool.
play every once in a while. Yeah.
That's
Um,
awesome.